Kale Clague has been acquired by the Montreal Canadiens via waivers from the Los Angeles Kings. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I was planning out today's show. I was like, okay, I want to make a Why I Want video. We're going to make a Matthew Savoy Why I Want later in today's program. And what would have been the later afternoon video was going to be a video on PK Subban, or should I say PK Sluban. But this thing right here, Kale Clague to Montreal, is pretty interesting. So who exactly is Kale Clague? He was an LA Kings drafted guy back in the 2016 NHL Entry Draft second round, 51st overall, 23 years old, from Saskatchewan, 6 feet 176, a left-handed defenseman whose contract expires at the end of the season, making $700,000. Now, Clague has always been a super interesting defenseman in my eyes. I was always a really big fan of what he was doing in the WHL, especially after he got drafted. He was just an absolutely offensive dynamo over there for the Brandon Wheat Kings and for the Moose Jaw Warriors as well. You can see the point production over here his last season in the dub. Saw him get 47 points in 28 games with Brandon, and then 24 points in 26 with Moose Jaw, and he was a point per game in the playoffs. So he was a very consistent, very reliable offensive caliber defenseman who eventually broke out onto the AHL scene with the same level of success. He was about a half a point a game defenseman over there in the AHL, and he had some limited NHL time too. This season, playing for the Ontario Reign, because he actually did pass through waivers earlier on in the year, he was a point-per-game guy, with 4 points in 5 games. However, during his stint with the LA Kings this season, he was at half a point a game over there, so certainly a good improvement when it comes to the point production. When it comes to the LA Kings, though, they had themselves a pretty interesting predicament with, of course, Sean Durzi making his debut in the lineup as well. Durzi was actually really good. Okay, let's move this over here so we can actually see things properly. There you go. Durzi actually had himself a really good start to the season, and he was actually better than Kale Clague. Olli Maatta is a guy over here who was not playing for the Kings as well, but because his cap hit is so much more, I guess that's why the Kings just decided, okay, we'll send Clague down, we'll keep Maatta in the press box, but still, Edler's here, Anderson is here, Bjornfot, Durzi, they're all here as well. So when it comes to the LA Kings, they just kind of had to get rid of a guy, and Kale Clague happened to be that guy. For Montreal, it's a really interesting thing too, because now the Jeff Gorton era has officially begun. We saw what happened with Jeff Petrie, he has been taken out. We saw what happened with Sami Niku, he has been taken out too. This might be a move where you're acquiring an NHL caliber defenseman to maybe replace the ice time of, let's just say, a Mattias Norlinder, who has had some opportunities this season, but as we discussed a few videos ago, hasn't really been utilizing those opportunities because the Canadiens just refuse to play him on the power play. It's kind of whack. If you decide to send a Norlinder back over to the SHL, all of a sudden, hey, the guy's getting 20 minutes a night, he's playing on the top power play, he's being the guy, and he's actually developing, unlike what he's doing right here in Montreal, which is pretty much the opposite of that. With Montreal, though, acquiring another defenseman over here, it does provide a lot more flexibility if you want to go out there and, let's say, trade a Ben Chiarot. This might be one of those catalyzing moves where you acquire a guy and it allows somebody else to be expendable, either that Norlinder who gets sent back to Sweden or a Chiarot that gets traded. At the end of the day, though, it is kind of interesting because when it comes to Kale Clague, as we noted in my opinion, he is a capable NHLer. Right? So that's kind of why teams that are at the bottom of the standings were able to go out there and put in a waiver claim for this guy, especially Montreal, who is right here at third last in the league. However, it is kind of weird to me that this team right here, second worst in the league, Ottawa, did not put in a waiver claim. Because the reason Clague is even in Montreal is because Arizona and Ottawa both passed on this guy. For Ottawa, it's kind of like, okay, that team has Victor Mete on their D-core. That team has, Michael Del Zotto on their D-core. Mete has been getting the brunt of extreme fan hate the past few games because that guy just has not been good. And so it gets even stranger when you consider that the Ottawa Senators, with their very weak left side, straight up said, okay, sorry, no, we're not going to take this Kale Clague guy for free. He's only making $700,000. We're not going to get this guy for free. Meanwhile, Montreal immediately after is like, yeah, okay, let's get him, because we are right up there next in the waiver wire. There you go, the notification on my phone. Canadiens claim defenseman Kale Clague off the waivers from the LA Kings. But It is kind of strange that Montreal was able to get him and that Ottawa refused. But either way, let me know in the comments if you're a Habs fan, what does this mean for the organization? What do you think happens with a Ben Sherratt or a Matthias Norlinder? What do you think happens with the rest of your lineup? And if you're an LA fan, let me know in the comments, what do you think about having guys like Edler and Mata and Anderson and Bjornfot and all these guys over here too? Sean Durzi kind of earned his spot in the team, so I can understand him being in this position, but how do you feel about Kale Clague being the guy sent down? Let me know in the comments all your thoughts about this player. Hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.